Hello children, welcome back. This is the continuation of chapter number 1, that is input devices and output devices. In the last class we have discussed about different types of input devices that are used to input data and instruction for processing. So in this video we will discuss about different types of output devices that are used to display the data that we entered into the computer after processing, and this data can be displayed in the form of a output or a result through different output devices. So let us begin. So as I have already said that output devices are devices used to display results. So these are some of the output devices that we are going to discuss today, like say printer, speaker, monitor, projectors and plotter. So let us begin. Now first let us start with monitor. So the most common output device is monitor, and as you all know that the monitor looks like a television screen. Okay, so it looks like a television screen. The output that we get on the monitor is called a soft copy. So there are three types of monitors depending upon the size, depending upon the cost factors. Okay, so first is the CRT or cathode ray tube monitor. So basically we don't use this type of monitors nowadays. And second is the LCD or liquid crystal display, and finally the latest one is the LED or light emitting diode. So let us discuss all these three types of monitor one by one. So first we'll start with the CRT or cathode ray tube. As you can see that it looks like a television set, and these monitors are generally less expensive, but we don't use this monitor nowadays and it consumes more electricity. Now its biggest disadvantage is the weight and the size of the tube that is used to display the output. Second is the LCD, that is liquid crystal display. Now this kind of monitors, they produces sharp images. They have the advantage of being much thinner and consumes less electricity. So in comparison to the CRT, that is cathode ray tube monitor, LCD monitors are much thinner, they are lightweight and they consume less electricity. But they are much more expensive than the CRT or the cathode ray tube monitor. And the last one is the LED, that is light emitting diode, and the output in these monitors are displayed with the help of a light. So LED monitors look more or less same as the LCD monitors, and both of them they produces good qualities of image, but still the LED, that is light emitting diode, have a much better picture quality and are much in demand nowadays than the LCD monitor. Now let us see the next output device, that is a speaker. So all of you know about the speaker very well. Speakers are generally used to give the sounds through the monitor, or if you want to go for the music. So this is the image of the speaker. One is the speaker and another is the headphone. So both of these are the output devices that are used to listen music or give the sound as an output. So speakers are commonly used output devices used to listen to music and the sound effect from the computer. As I have already said, the purpose of a speaker is to produce the audio output that can be heard by the listener. Now you can see that nowadays the speakers, you can get the inbuilt speakers inside the monitor, or if you don't get the inbuilt speakers, we can attach the speakers with the help of the cable in a CPU. So they may be built into the system unit or can be connected with cables to CPU. Now let us go to the next output devices, that is printer. So printer is one of the most important output device that we use in the computer, and the output we get through the printer, we call it as a hard copy. So as I have already said that this is an important part of a computer system. It prints the output onto the paper, and the printed copy is called the hard copy. So the most commonly used printers are, you can see this one, we call this as a dot matrix printer, and the next is the inkjet printer, and the third one we call this as a laser printer. So let us discuss all these three types of printer one by one. The first is the inkjet printer, it is the dot matrix printer, and nowadays we don't use much about the dot matrix printer. Now I hope you have seen the typewriters. Before the printers were used, the people used to type using a typewriter in the paper. So dot matrix printers work just like a typewriter, and it creates the impression on the paper by striking on the paper. So you all know that it is very noisy, and it does not produce a high quality output. Though it is not much expensive, it gives the output only in black and white. The next is the inkjet printer. As the name suggests, inkjet, so the output or the print that we get using the inkjet printer is with the help of the inks that are sprayed on the paper to form the text and graphics. Now it can give both in black and white and in the color as a output. It gives high quality printout, and it is much expensive than the dot matrix printer. And finally, it is the laser printer. So the laser printer uses laser beams and a dry ink to print. It just works like a photocopier, or what we call Xerox machine. The prints are very fast, and it gives a very high quality printout. As I have already said, it works like a photocopier, and it costs more than the inkjet printer. So these are the three types of printers. One is the dot matrix printer, another is the inkjet printer, and finally it is the laser printer. And among these three printers, the costliest is the laser printer, and it gives a very high quality printout. You cannot hear the sound, or no noise can be heard using the laser printer. Now next is the processing device, that is central processing unit. Now we all know that in a human body, brain has an important role to play. The activities that we perform, the things that we do, are the results of the signal that we receive from the brain, isn't it? So likewise, CPU is also known as the brain of the computer. So it is the CPU that performs all the activities in the computer, right from calculating to storing the devices and processing the device. So we can say that the CPU performs all the jobs that we order it to do. So it is also known as a system unit. Now, as I have said, that CPU is the brain of the computer, where it processes and stores the information. The second point is it performs calculation and sends the results after processing to the output device, and it performs all the job that we order it to do. It is also known as a system unit. Now we will discuss about some of the parts of a CPU. Now CPU mainly consists of three parts. The first one is the memory unit, the second is arithmetic and logic unit, and the third one is control unit. So if you go through the figure, you can see that the input that are sent using the input devices are to be processed by the central processing unit. So there are three things, that is the control unit, arithmetic logic units, and the memory unit, that are going to perform different kinds of activities. And once the processing takes place, it will give the meaningful information in the form of an output or what we call results through different output devices. Now first let us start with the MU, or what we call it as a memory unit. Okay, so this unit stores information according to our need. The second is arithmetic logic unit. So whatever the arithmetic calculations and logical operations are to be performed, it is done by the arithmetic logic units of the CPU. And finally, the control unit. This unit manages all the operations of the computer, that is, right from the input to the output devices. So these are the three main parts of the CPU. One is the memory unit, second is the arithmetic logic unit, and third one is the control unit. So with the combination of these three units, the processing takes place in the CPU. So this is all in today's content. So in this video we have discussed about different types of output devices that are used to give the output either in the form of a soft copy, or it may be in the form of a hard copy. And beside that, we have also discussed about the CPU, and we have learned about the different parts that the CPU contain. So thank you children once again, and again we will join it in the next class.